All right, let's talk about something that trips up pretty much everyone buying or selling a house in Orlando: the appraisal. You know you have to pay for it, but what are you actually paying for? We're going to crack this thing open and find out what's really going on with that fee.
So let's just cut to the chase. This is the big question, right? You're looking at all these documents, you see that line item for the appraisal, and you're thinking, what's the real number? What should I actually be budgeting for here in Orlando?
Okay, on the surface, the numbers look like this. Typically, you're going to see a cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $650 to $900. And, that seems simple enough. But trust me, that number is only the beginning of the story.
Because here's the thing, that price tag, it's hiding a really important detail about where your money is actually going. And once you understand this, it kind of changes how you see the whole game.
So, first things first, let's just break down the standard costs, the ones you're most likely to see when you're getting a mortgage. This is the most common situation for most people, so let's get a handle on these baseline numbers.
So it makes sense that not every house costs the same to appraise, right? For a standard single-family home, you're looking at about $650. If you've got a bigger, more complex place, maybe a custom build, it'll probably be closer to $750. And for a duplex or a fourplex, it's about $800. These figures seem pretty straightforward, but what's inside that number is what really matters.
And this is the part that usually gets glossed over. When your bank orders an appraisal, there's often this invisible player in the middle that takes a big slice of the pie. It's time to pull back the curtain. So who is this middleman? Meet the Appraisal Management Company, or AMC for short. See, your lender usually doesn't just call up an appraiser. Nope, they hire an AMC to do all the dirty work, the scheduling, the paperwork, the compliance stuff. And for that, oh yeah, they take a fee.
And how big a fee are we talking about? Well, this is where it gets kind of crazy. Let's use that $750 appraisal as an example. The actual appraiser, the expert who drives to your house, measures everything, does all the research, they might only pocket between $325 and $400 of that. A huge chunk goes straight to the AMC. And look, this isn't just me guessing. The data, right here from Florida, is pretty eye-opening. It shows these AMCs are keeping anywhere from 40 to a whopping 70% of the fee that you pay. I mean, think about that. The middleman is often making more than the professional doing the actual work. So you're probably thinking, okay, is there any way to avoid this? And the answer is yes, absolutely, but only in certain situations. If you need an appraisal for something that's not a new mortgage, you can just go hire an appraiser yourself and cut out that middleman completely.
The difference is, well, it's really night and day. On one side, you've got the whole mortgage process, the lender, the AMC, the appraiser, and on the other side, it's just you and the appraiser. It's simple, there's no administrative markup, no AMC taking a cut. You're just paying for their professional time and expertise.
And here's what that looks like in terms of cost. Need to figure out a home's value for an estate, or maybe before you put it on the market, you're looking at around $650 to $800. For more complicated legal stuff like a divorce, it can be a little more. But the big deal here, every single dollar of that fee is going to the person doing the actual work.
Okay, now there is one group that gets a much better deal, and it's a fantastic example of how this whole thing could work. We're talking about veterans who are using a VA loan. The VA system just handles this stuff differently.
For veterans, it's refreshingly simple. The fees are standardized, the pricing is totally transparent, and you guessed it, there is no AMC markup. The fee you pay goes directly to a VA-approved appraiser, period.
And just look at how straightforward this is for Orlando. A single-family home or condo, it's a flat $650. A manufactured home, $725. A multifamily property, $800. It's clean, simple, and honestly, it's typically the fairest and most affordable option out there for anyone who qualifies.
Now, just so you know the whole landscape, there are a few other appraisal types you might hear about. Desktop appraisals, where no one even visits the house, are cheaper, but good luck getting a mortgage lender to accept one. Then you have drive-by and hybrid appraisals, which are also less expensive, but again, a lot of lenders won't use them. For most people, a full appraisal is what's on the menu.
Whew, okay, that was a lot of info. So how do we actually use all this to figure out what you're going to pay? Let's put it all together into a really clear, simple plan. It really just boils down to these 4 steps. First, figure out why you need this appraisal. Is it for a mortgage, a personal reason, or a VA loan? Easy enough. Second, find the cost range we talked about that matches your situation. Third, remember to factor in if your property is extra big or complicated. And finally, this is the most important part. Know who you're paying. Is there a middleman?
So let's put a bow on this.
Here's your budget cheat sheet. Getting a standard mortgage, budget about $650 to $750, but just know that a big piece of that is going to an AMC. Hiring an appraiser directly. Plan for a similar amount, but feel good knowing it's all going to the expert. And if you're using a VA loan, you can bank on that fixed fair fee with zero markups.
And that's really the big takeaway here. This whole hidden fee thing isn't just about one line item on a long document. It's about a lack of transparency in a huge financial process. So it really makes you wonder, right? Now that you know to look for a middleman here, what other closing costs are you going to start questioning?